Today we're going to be casting some hero unit games off of SC2 replay stats. Yeah. Now, if you don't know what that means, it refers to games in which one unit got a lot of kills. And I don't remember which games these were or which units they were, so we're gonna have to guess. We're gonna have to find out and see what happens. Usually it's a unit that deals splash damage, fairly tanky. Often it's a planetary, lurker, siege tank, colossus. Once in a while you see a Thor, Archon, sometimes even a mothership. So here we got the blue turn, Queequeg, and the red Zerg, Southshot. Seems that this game was played at diamond level, although the Terran, I think, was one of these players was unranked, I forget which. Overlord going across, hatch coming up. Red is spreading his lords out to get that scouting information. The CV is searching the map, hoping he stumbles upon his opponent's base, but unluckily he has gone to the wrong one. So now he knows where the opponent's base is, but he doesn't know if it's hatch first or pool first, which is a bit of an inconvenience. Nevertheless, it looks as if he's going for a CC anyway, building a marine to defend it, which is probably fine. Most Zergs do play hatch first these days. I would recommend it myself. The Lord has almost arrived, and he's going to see what's a pretty fast command center. A depot barracks CC build order with nothing to follow it up here yet. Not even an add-on on this barracks. So you would expect this 100 gas, probably for a factory. Lord is waiting here. Hatch is finished, pool is finished. SCV has seen it. When speed starts up, the drones have been removed from the gas, which means it could mean a lot of things, but it might be a Ling rush. Getting just enough gas to research Ling speed, using the rest on either a fast hatch and drones, or perhaps a shit ton of Zerglings. 2 queens here, which is enough, I think, for a shit ton of Zerglings. But only 4 more are coming up. None have gone across the map yet. Perhaps they're expecting a Reaper. There is no Reaper coming. Tech Lab going up on the factory, probably for a siege tank. Terran does not really want to do very much at all, but neither player is feeling quite confident enough to make a bunch of workers yet either. Baneling nest going down, sign of Zerg paranoia. There is another hatch though. SCV count rising slowly. Siege tank has started yet. It's just started right now. Marines are not in the bunker. They're maintaining their mobility in case of sneaky happening. They are going to wish that they were inside this bunker in just a second when these Zerglings come in, but it's probably not enough Zerglings to do much damage. Depends on what this tank does. There's 5 veins here. Anything could happen. Now it's a lot of Zerglings. Terran did not have any type of wall, and the Marines are not inside. Tank? There is a tank here. Oh, veins come in. Alright, so these Marines are dead. Walls are closed. Ooh. Alright, well, barely helped. Not optimal SCV micro. Sort of struggling to put them back where they're supposed to be. Possibly panicking a lot. Big wave of wins here though. No bio, just 2 tanks. This tank, not going to survive. I'm starting to think this might be our hero unit here. 35 kills already. Terran has moved everything up to the high ground. Now, the Zerg in this position, if they were smart, would just quit. Right, Zerg is actually behind on workers by 9, but has 3 bases. And Terran is contained, and it's not going to feel comfortable going back down here for a long time. So Zerg could drone up, but he's not. He's building 12 Zerglings and 5 Banelings. He's just going to keep headbutting into this position. Yeah, he could just improve his economy and do nothing. Depot closes just in time. Banes are going to get big hits on those workers already. Now the Zerg should really just back off and make drones, because he can just win the game if he just maxes out and chills, because he's so far ahead on economy. Look, there's only 6 SCVs on minerals here. Terran also is floating 1,000 gas, and needs to really spend that on something. 2 command centers on the high ground for SCV production. 3 barracks for Marine production. One or the other, but, well, okay, this ain't it. This ain't it. You want to wall that off. You could use 2 NG bays. Should be a little cheaper. Or you could try, Hellbats. Really need more production here, not a wall of supply depots when you 60 free supply, but oh, they get in. A couple more tanks gonna go down. It's gotta be the hero. He's got 80 kills. Alright. So these are clearly honorable gentlemen. Nobody is ever going to macro. Macro is for losers and dweebs and nerds, not gamers. Gamers go all in and stay all in. And to be fair, the Terran is building SUVs and he's only floating 400 minerals now. Yes. And to be fair, the Zerg is now gone up to 32 workers. Banelings? You're gonna get Banes? Bane speed's coming. He's gonna wait for Bane speed before he attacks again. buddy, you don't need to break those. He's waiting for that speed. Alright, that's fine. Terran's not doing much either over here. Starting +1. Sometimes building SCVs. It's going to be a lot of bands. Alright, so once again, most of the defense goes down. CVs are getting pulled up to the high ground, but in order to get them to safety, well, he's just baiting them into the tank. Puts them in the medevac. That's quite clever. And that's it. Managed to keep most of that alive, but his precious wall is gone. Tank is up to 113 kills. What are we going to do? Build the wall again? Yeah, you can't afford it. That's when you know it's time to tap out, when you can't afford to build 5 depots in a row to make your wall. $600 gas in the bank. Building, a few Ravens isn't going to help it. I guess it's better than building nothing, but Liberators are a decent chance, I think. Good against Bands. Stand off. Yeah, Red's just saying, I'm just going to try it one more time with the same exact army. Although I guess 24 more Zerglings this time might help. Can we get like 35 bands? Can't quite afford it. Falling behind on worker count again. Income slowly shifting towards the parent. Then tilted. Not sure why. Yeah, so this time he's pulling the Banes back to save them for a key moment. Two Hellbats here. No blue flame, but the... Okay, yeah, finally go down. Oh, he does get... Oh, the tank's gonna go down. does get the wall. Does look like Terran is going to survive here, but just barely, and he has 0 mining now. Zero bio also. But it's going to take a little more time, just a few banes here. They're mining up on the high ground. All of the workers got pulled into that fight. Please just use NG bays. You can just use 2 NG bays and 1 supply depot here. Only costs 400. Don't mind. He is sort of splitting his stuff, right? He's not mining gas, which is actually good because he has plenty in the bank. Probably, I would say high ground command center. That's pretty smart. You can rally everything into the United. That's plenty of banes this time. This guy can find a spot for me. Because it's not the number of Terran units that's the problem, it's the position. Right? If you can just let the Zerglings start on the high ground here, you do just win. The Overseer can start the Nidus here. It might take a couple missile shots, not even. Yeah. Tanks doesn't see it yet. There are 4 tanks though, so if they siege up right now, this Overseer doesn't. Oh, he just aimed moved it. Yeah. Alright. Unfortunately, the Zerglings are kind of trickling out, and the Zerglings are coming before the Banes, which makes it hard for them to take a good fight against this bio. Terran's using those choke points nicely. Those Banes are going through the tank and they don't make it. Nidus is almost empty. Bio is almost dead. CDs go down. Yeah, that's all of it. And what's the high ground take? That's all of it. And there's still 2 tanks left. The Liberator sieges up nicely. CC goes down. Vector is getting repaired. Oh, there was a drop over here. It looks like Terran winning. Zerg had tons of chances to not be all in. Take 5 bases, go up to 80 drones, and win the game carefully in the long game. But he wanted blood. He wanted to end it now, and he didn't. And it's not over. Now he's trying to retake this hatch, and the drop is still here, ready to go back. The Zerglings searching for hidden bases, I guess. Mining is pretty much dead even. Worker count has come back to favor the Zerg. But he doesn't have a good base to mine from. This one's getting depleted. Main base is almost fully depleted. He does have enough to build like 3 hatcheries, and he probably should. Maybe 2 hatches, and he could spend it all on 35 banelings. Surely that will be enough this time. Surely he will just be able to blindly aim move it. Kill everything. least tempted to use it on those destructible weapons. Looks like the drop is unloading again. Or you can go back in. Just as the Banes are ready to go back in themselves. New CC is starting up here. Another medevac outside the wall. Drop is going in here. So this is what it feels like to play Terran. You go outside the wall once, and the Zerg psychically knows it and destroys your entire army. And this is what it feels like to play Zerg. Terran has nothing but 2 siege tanks, and it destroys all your shit. While a drop is also killing you with home. To be fair, those 5 Zerglings could actually win the game by just running there, clicking that siege tank, and then moving through those workers, because there's just this defending, and that doesn't even protect this base. This drop here, actually, that's barely enough to clean it up, even if those units stand and fight, and they're not going to. Polar positioning no longer so good. I would spread those out to get better inflation. Terran cannot even afford to repair that tank, but he is getting a third command center, so he will be able to get some mining soon. Zerg is looking pretty weak here. Does not have enough larva or income to continue fighting. Probably doesn't feel comfortable in the long game anymore either, because now the Terran's going to be able to get this base, start mining immediately, although it doesn't really have enough workers to capitalize on it. It does have a bunch of mules. He is paralyzed by indecision here. Yes, decides on violence. Hops into the Nidus. Where will it be? It's going to be the same place it was last time. Terran's using his income to get building armor and 2 SCVs. Nothing out of the rest of the production. 2,000 gas in them. Lovely gas banks here. Everything is in the Nidus. So there's nothing to stop 3 Marines and 2 Marauders, which have caused untold damage. Nidus pops out over here. Somehow out of range of this tank. Yeah, just barely. Could be enough to win the game. Guys here, there are 8 Zerglings in production, which I think could stop him. Upgrades plus medevacs are pretty good. Zerglings waste a lot of DPS on a turret. Somehow more bio has appeared out of nowhere, and there are 4 tanks now. And that's gotta be a game, right? These are the real hero units. I mean, sure, that's siege tank, but like, wow. Well, there you have it. Just one example. What happens on the ladder every day. Next up, we got a Zerg versus Terran. Also Diamond League. you watch enough Diamond League games, you forget what actual Bronze League games actually look like. Here we got Notch and Sufa. Initially things start out fairly friendly, but the parent is taking his precautions and building a little wall here anyway. Overload coming out to scout. Sir did an extractor trick. Oh, no, it's hatch first. Normal ferrets. Gas. Speed it up a bit. And SCV scout doesn't say anything. And he sees a hatch. Pretty fast CC. And then a Reaper goes across. I think it's one drone. They're going a pretty bold attempt to expand here, hides in the extractor instead. Reaper knows if he leaves, that drone will just cancel the extractor and build a hatchery. But if he stays, he's going to waste all of his time fighting an extractor. Barely survives the queen. Nope, the extractor finishes. So I guess the Reaper, in a way, did accomplish something. Terran is only slightly behind on workers, and there's a couple mules out. Factory making 1 Hellion. Reactor coming up on the barracks. Link speed almost done. Roach 1 coming up. Hellion is just chilling. Terran has is, fairly aggressive in theory in terms of which units he has built and sent across the map, but in practice, certainly doesn't want to spend all of his attention controlling these units when he could be producing workers at home, for example. And he is indeed almost outpacing his Zerg on worker count. Zerg is getting a third, has now droned up this base more than that last Zerg did in the whole game. But there are now 4 Hellions. Here is a lab bot 1X. Adorable little creature. Anyway, Hellions are getting ready to go in. There are 6 roaches here. Not in a position to block them. Sort of hoping the Hellions might blindly come in. Hellions don't actually want any of that. Now there's a Banshee going across, so Cloak is almost done. 2 orbitals, second Banshee, third command center. Roaches are coming. First Banshee is they're going to hit at about the same time. Time has nothing that's going to be good against the roaches except for these Banshees, and the Banshees are not going to be in a position to deal with it. I don't think we've seen the roaches. Now Zerg has to resist the temptation to F2 and move towards the Banshee and pull their roaches back home. It needs to instead probably click on one of the supply depots. Banshees get a queen, and get some more drone kills. If the roaches do the correct thing, they're going to kill at least one depot. Workers coming to repair it. Building another depot in the face of roaches. Helion's just lightly caressing these roaches with a nice, pleasant, warming flame. And these Banshees are pretty much going to run out of energy before any detection arrives to stop them. Actually, there's an Overseer here. Maybe I spoke too soon. And, worker counts are pretty close. Zerg is taking a 4th. And is building an orbital here before sending it out, as well as 2 more factories. So I guess he is going back. No upgrades yet. Spire coming along, which is a pretty good choice. Since it's not built a single unit that shoots up yet. Zerg still ahead in worker count a little bit, getting band speed. Exact perfect saturation on 2 bases there. Overlord delays his finesse and throughput. Banshees have pretty much given up trying to get damage. Still poking around a little bit. It's not quite enough to kill a hatchery in a timely fashion. Marine actually manages to almost kills that Overlord. Not sure it's worth it to spend the gas on 10 HP Overseer, but I don't know, we'll see what the plan is for it. A lot of queens here, which is a tenuous defense that can go bad quickly, but better than nothing. Definitely better than building a bunch of hydras. Mutants will be a pretty good counter to this. Not really enough Banshees to fight this. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, now the mutants jump in. That's going to be the end of Banshee times. Oh, what's this? Helion's got all the way in here, sending the Hellbats. They're pretty good kills. Worker count now favors the tank. Ravagers should be totally qualified to stop this. Terran has now thrown away most of his army and is building Thors and mines at home. But the Zerg is in chaos. He has grown up, so actually worker counts are back to being even, but the Terran's income is much better because of the construction. This Overseer's back to full health now, so I guess it was a fine choice, except he hasn't accomplished anything. Thors should be able to take these moves in a straight fight. Barely dodges those mines. Thor Splash, also pretty nasty, and you don't want to get out of there. I need to think of an alternate option. Someone is coming up, but not going to be enough have to keep the turn off 3 days. If you get enough to snipe these turrets, you could get good work for kills, because obviously those stores can be outmaneuvered, but you never know where the mines are, so it does require very precise control. There's not much on the ground to deal with harassment. Natives don't want to come home to deal with this, they want to be in the field doing damage. But unfortunately it takes a lot of micro to move those natives right, considering the threat of throwers, mines, and missiles. Zerg is blocking this base also. Hellions get chased off. A bunch of natives here doing nothing. They could be doing one or two things. But at least the Zerg's economy is secure. And we still have not much in particular. You could almost just hold this over. A bunch of roaches wouldn't be a bad choice. Natives, yeah, can't run past those stores on the map. Hellions have an opportunity to get pretty heavy on the ground. Still no blue. Not quite the attack that we dream of, but the Zergies had the Terrans building 2 more stores. He does have more Hellions behind. Could take the space now also. Big flock of natives. Hard to tell who the hero is. Maybe it's going to be his planetary. Would not be surprised. Zerg is building 18 Zerglings, 10 Infestors, and Neural Parasite, which is definitely a way to deal with the stores. Although the problem is Infestors require micro, and you've got to be sure not to miss micro your mutalisks while controlling the Infestors. And it would be a mistake to start this fight before the Infestors arrive. But considering this kind of a thing, moving in into the fat mine hit and forward splash, and all these natives just gonna die for free. Nope, they killed 1 Tor. Yeah, the problem with playing Mutalist is that you're just never allowed to aim it, not even once. Because they will just all die for free just like that. Now, once in a while, you're playing a guy who doesn't have any splash damage, which is common at lower leagues. So you get baited into thinking it's a good idea, you make a habit of it, and eventually you realize people just know that they need to have splash against mutas, and then you can't aim it at all. These Infestors are just charging up. His Neural Parasite's not done. It takes a long time to research. Burrow's not done either. So, meanwhile, these stores are coming. It's almost too late. Neural Parasite without Burrow does not hit the same. There's not very much on the ground here either. Just a handful of roaches. There's a few more roaches coming out. We can see there's not much to save this base. Worker counts are dead even, so Zerg really needs to pull these drones away. Tanks are sieged up now. It's going to be hard for the Infestors to get a good fight. Burrow is still a ways off. Drones are dying. 22 Zerglings and reproduction, which is not even the best answer. There's a bunch of mines there. Zerglings are kind of mid against forage anyway, but when you add the tanks and the mines, okay, the turn detector. Happy with the damage he dealt. He is ahead now, so it's not a bad choice. Zerg shoots a few vials just fun. Maybe we just help it with it. Both players just about maxed out. Mine's going to be big hits. Pretty good. Two out of 3 lines are down to blank vials. It's both here. Those are silly. People don't use contaminated. The camps have used the production now, so if you had you could fly in there and contaminate something, but none of it's doing anything. Infestors need to get so Terran knows he needs to scan 1 neural parasite, 2, a few going off, wants to get forward. I mean, he needs tanks for me to get bad at it. It's a shit ton of tanks back there. They're gonna slaughter. But I think there are no Thors or but these neural parasites are about to run out on the first few. I think that was the best fight this Zerg could have got, but it was not quite good enough. He still needs something to finish the job. 4 Thors and 3 tanks is still quite a lot. So who's our hero? One of these guys. So he has any studs there. A bunch of changelings trying to get a beat on this army, and the Zerglings are all going to die for free if they don't. Building armor, starting out. Meg is going to be 2-1 when he's up for his finish. Let's get fun up for it. Well, no, Zerglings will clear up. Zerg has not replenished his drone count yet. Has a couple trees to throw. He's very diligent about not oversaturating. Good macro hacks here. His production has been on point. Notice the players don't have huge banks. Sam has a pretty big cash bank, but considering he's maxed out and he's working on his upgrades, that's not exactly a bad thing. His mech does take a lot of gas, so as long as he can bank up minerals before losing his maxed out army, he should be able to replenish his army at a decent pace using that gas bank. That said, this is like the 7th minute of this Terran game. A little less aggressive than it could be. Like you're maxed out, buddy. You can push. You don't need to sit here waiting for the Zerg to run. You can go in the game. Like this is all he has. That's not enough to hold this. Alright, he's getting there. Zerg sees it. Starts coming. He's not coming over. Maybe he knows he can't handle it. can't expand on this other side either because there's another planet right here. Good number of infestors looking for. I think we might be able to get into it. Bands and a greater fire. More upgrades. Still nothing is really going to be able to break this unless the infestors just get magic somewhere else. The Vikings bait all of this to no end, so obviously they keep that tank shots. Then need a fair turn to leave them. Corruptors might be able to deal with these Vikings, but these Zerglings going to die. Like, not committing is the right choice here. Yeah, big girls again. Stand with a little late. You have to target the infestors here, I think. Tanks are about to go down. Okay, so now there's almost nothing in magic to infestors. It's a great target for the Zerg, but once again, it's a question of how do you finish off these units? Guy's got a decent minute micro. Oh, he's not, yeah, he does have more miles, but he manages to finish off pretty much everything. Can't get the last one. Okay. It's a pretty good cleanup. Pretty good cleanup. Can't be thing. We need a little something extra to finish this off. Number of Zerglings might be less than it. The players first. Can't manage to siege out. Sometimes it's going to go down. You almost got to know it's Hellbats, so it's too many Hellbats now. Zerglings disappear as they do. Three altars might be enough. And there's some blue birds here. Blue birds are also a good answer. Both kinds of blue birds fighting together here. Those liberators have to really take advantage. Not a corruptor in sight, but I guess the whole army wants to pull back. He's aware of his face. I'll bet this is going to be after a kind of tear. The Zerg wants it. It doesn't seem to be coming. Terran knows the Zerg wants it. So he's going to siege up over here. And this attack is probably going to be disastrous for the Zerg. Has almost nothing that shoots out. There's two Vikings, two turrets. The Liberators are still back for the queue. Liberators are great against ultras. assuming the Ultras do them the service of attacking directly into the Liberation Zone, which is pretty it's too foolish here. Positioning of this actually makes it a little hard to get a good fight against these blue boards. Corruptors can take out these Vikings, but the Lords, sets them off. Blue Lords just fucking shit up in this little corner. Scan looks like Thors. I mean, Thors are trying to walk around. Ultras just sitting there. They know they can't do anything. Okay, the Corruptors have managed to take out all the Vikings. And it's getting more upgrades than a Thor. With a huge bank. Oh, you may not have the production on a control group. Zerg has a medium bank that's not building anything. Ultras managed to. Okay, yeah, very nice to put the neural on just when the Ultras get into combat. Actually, they need to clean this up. But he's not gonna. Oh yeah, he turns them on each other just a little too late, and then okay, exactly. You gotta put that to. Let the Ultra to finish it off. But good stuff. Looks like all the blue boards somehow died during that process. Except this one guy shooting one thing at a time. Planetary only has 15 kills so far. I'm sure both players have realized that this is now the only thing that matters. Actually, this man is long distance mining. It could be over here, but isn't. Compare that down instead. No, okay, we can compare it. It looks sloppy. It's only 3 Corruptors. This one Thor. Start taking out food lords. But when mass repair is good, it's not enough, is it? Was there tank splash in there? I think the tank splash was what did it. But there's nothing to stop them. Well, there's 3 Corruptors, but they won't stop the Vikings because they're busy taking the longest piss of all time. Does it just go on forever? No. Okay, they canceled it to attack the Vikings. After like a few brood lords went down. Oh, the Thors are here though. Continuous stream of brood Zerglings just pouring into the Hellbats. Hellbats are the real killers here. Okay, so finally all this goes down, but this is enough to beat the planetary there. Meanwhile, this Overlord is just watching the long distance mining. 5 Zerglings over there go crazy. Once again, the Vikings are just sacrificing themselves to kill the last brood lord. Well, second to last brood lord. His base has been a net negative on the Terran bank. You know, it's just spending so much money repairing damage. It's not like Zerg is doing damage for free exactly, but another wave of Thors. You know, pretty much clean this up. Planetary is up to 99 kills. Definitely the hero. That's a moral victory. Zerg is behind on workers, So like that type of long, grindy, mutually sacrificial Pyrrhic battle is probably better for the Terran. Units lost. Terran's up by about a third. I mean, yeah, Zerg lost about a third more. Still pretty good army here. Terran has not really changed his composition in the past 10 minutes. Nor has his Zerg, to be honest. Consistently shocked by how his Zerg just always seems to have nothing. And yet hasn't lost yet. Terran does have Terran brain. He just sort of feels like as long as he just sits here and does nothing, he will eventually win in some ineffable, indescribable way. He is about to have 3-3 mech, so maybe that's the time when it's finally time to go across the map and win the game. When your mech is 3-3 and you're maxed out, that's when you're allowed to move to your opponent's side of the map. If you can feel it, you can feel it. It's almost time. Now he's not getting maxed out. He could build something with his production. But 188 is close enough. You don't need to use that last bit. Meanwhile, Zerg is building 2 infestors and 5 banelings, which is probably not going to be enough to help us. Has he finally met a problem that he can't parasite his way out of? He no longer has mass infestor. I don't know if these Vipers are going to be able to do anything useful. About half the Hellbats go down. The Vipers land some blinding clouds on most of the tanks, actually. Good blinding clouds, but I'm not sure he has enough to make that worth it. Liberators and floors are uncontested. Blinding clouds wear off before the tanks go down. And a bunch of other random shit just shows up late and dies for free. These infestors didn't help. And, perhaps most importantly, their Zerg is broke. So I think that's going to be the end of it. One last round of neurals, but I think this time there's enough to punish it. Yeah, he just clicks on the infestors. Yeah, when you do those neurals, you really need to neural parasite all the units that are able to kill the infestors, and do it all at once before the Terran scans. Still a good game. Good fight out of both players. Very fun to watch. One more. Zerg versus Protoss. I might play something. Might play a GBA ROM hack after that. It's less stressful on the voice because I don't have to talk the whole time. Once again, Diamond League. Diamond versus Platinum. As a Diamond Protoss, I'd much prefer playing against Platinum Zerg over Diamond Zerg. Gate versus hatch. Zerg cleverly hides the number of Zerg when it just uses 2 to attack the probe while the others are coming across the map a little bit behind. Anything else? Zerg has been pretty low tech up to this point, but doesn't exactly have a high worker count to show for it. Does have a high bank. If you find yourself in this situation, you should start up some queens, make a macro hatch, or take another base, and then just drone up. Unless you've scouted an attack coming in. This Protoss is clearly not doing anything right now, so the Zerg should be getting ahead on macro. Got a blink and 1 immortal going up to a 3rd base. Zerg is building spore crawlers despite not having seen a Stargate. It hasn't been all the way over here, so he doesn't know there's no Stargate. This Lord. Templar Archives. 4th base. Toss it, pulling ahead on workers here. This is why I said I prefer fighting Platinum Zerg. Observer is coming home to observe the destruction of the blockade. Or prison. Get ready for some shenanigans. I love those blockades. I don't really understand like what they are. Like, it's a cool force field surrounding some random ancient coffin-shaped things. Some type of stone. Yeah, I guess it's an ancient blockade. Yeah. the taste-a-lope. I want to see a Starcraft map where there's like neutral creatures that fight each other. There's a little hive that makes one type of creature on one side and a different hive that makes a different creature on the other side, and they like wander around and hunt each other or something. I had this idea once for the Starcraft map where there's like hostile neutral creatures, and if you get too close to them they'll attack you. So you have to like fight a little bit to open up bases to expand to. So probably should have broken these rocks by now. Doesn't have creep spread either. Starting 2/2 upgrades. Has 1/1 ranged. Some Zerglings in position here to do something, but they're not going to be able to get damage over here. Protoss probably should have like 1 Archon at least. So you don't want to rely on storms, because by the time the Zerglings get on here, they'll be in among your workers, so you have to storm your own workers to deal with the Zerglings. Considering these new storms, well, to be fair, they don't have time to fight the workers because they get baited into fighting the army, and they get a couple kills, I guess. They got like 1 kill. In the Zerg's defense, he didn't build melee upgrades, so those Zerglings aren't worth very much. What's really worth something is like his roaches and hydras, which he's banking up back here. So he was really getting rid of those Zerglings so he would have more space to build the units he's getting upgrades for. And it's not like he was going to get them in here and do damage. That said, there's now 4 base Protoss with a Colossus and multiple full energy High Templar, which is always a threat for a Zerg. He is getting triple upgrades though. Problem is he doesn't have any scouting information, so when this army hits, it's going to be able to kill this base, for example, and walk away before the army is able to get into position. Not that this is an army that could really beat Protoss in the field here, but there is a lurker den, like he might soon be ready to take a good fight. He does have enough banks, he could spend it on something that's relevant here, and the Protoss is clearly not in the mood to move out anytime soon. 2 more Colossi queued up, finally getting 1/1 upgrades. Speed up a bit, see how long it takes for something to happen. One of the problems with these hero unit games is that, in order for a unit to kill 100 units, it has to be a fairly long game, it has to be a macro game probably, because all these splash damage tech units are mid to late game stuff. There we go. So clearly there's always going to be a lot of stuff you have to fast forward to. A couple of Zealots find Zerg's 6th base, which does get cancelled, but Zerg is not moving out to, he is he's sending a few roaches to deal with it, which is good. I mean, there's a prism, you don't want to get out of position. He's not sending anything over here or here, and this is where he really needs to have this broken down, because he's going to have a terrible time defending that base. There are some spores though, so it's going to be hard. He's just going to sacrifice he's going to sacrifice the prism. I think there might be a space like right over here where you could have. Meanwhile, 1 Zealot just dies overnight. His queen's going to go down, which will possibly lead to many worker deaths. Yeah. Workers are not getting pulled. The roaches aren't going to be here fast enough. Not even a full creep highway. That hero spore crawler has denied its last prism. One deli just chilling here to prevent resettlement of that area. A very nice lurker count though. Protoss had an observer earlier. Oh, there is an observer, so it's possible these lurkers won't get great value. But you never know. He is going for this base rather than going up the ramp. Building spine crawlers is not the right choice here. They will just die too fast as stalkers. It's also using force fields to preemptively wall off a location where maybe he's trying to prevent the workers from fleeing that way. They do indeed try to flee that way and die horribly. Not sure that required 4 force fields, but yeah, walk up the ramp, bro, come on. Walk up the ramp. Their hero unit, one of these colossi. I remember one of the hero units was an immortal. Well, it's not that one. But one of the hero units was a lurker also, so it could actually be either of these players who has the hero in this game. This base has been redroned. Worker counts favor the Protoss by a fair bit, as does the income. Some of these bases are they're only slightly oversaturated, but these ones are undersaturated, so the balance could be a little better. Zerg is almost maxed out, which definitely means it's time to go do something aggressive and stupid, especially once 3 ranged upgrades finish. Protoss is only at 1-1, but soon it's going to be at 2-1-1. And has 3 Tempests coming out. There might have been a hero Tempest. This could be that game. Could be this guy. The Zerg is in a dire situation. Needs to find a way to take another base. Oh, there's Unitas. Which could be good or bad. Barricade is still up. This guy could make a Unitas over here. Meanwhile, Protoss army is very slowly sweeping around. And one Tempest could deal with these lurkers. Oh, lurkers are going in the Nidus also. Roaches are at a high risk of just dying for a couple photon cannons. Nidus does go up. Protoss sees a few lurkers here, has to make a quick choice. Yeah, there is enough stuff to deal with it, although this Protoss army is taking terrible damage. Lurker has 14 kills. It's probably not our hero unit. Meanwhile, all this shit is coming out. Pretty banging game here. Protoss army is severely damaged, but mostly intact. All the production is going to go down. I think you can't even recall into this because the air units will die to the Hydras. Like, even without the lurkers, there's enough Hydras to take care of all of this shit because it's so damaged. Which means it's a full-on base trade. And Protoss really doesn't have very much production spread around the map. It's all in that main base. Zerg also has much better upgrades. That said, if the base trade goes long enough, the Protoss army is more sophisticated, so might be able to wear down these Hydras over time. If they get some good storms. Oh. Also, there's only one observer and 0 remaining robos. Because the Protoss here, you really want to take stock of what you have left during this trade. For example, start building something out of these. You might be able to get it out before they get destroyed. Use those warp gates one last time before they get destroyed. Use your cyber core if it's still up. Cyber core is still up. Keep researching this, but like, you know, you could get a couple sentries. The Templar archives probably went down. Yeah, see, you could have built something out of those. A couple oracles would be prime right now because you're going to need the detection. I don't see the observer anymore. No, it's still there somewhere. There is also one oracle on the map. Neither side is building anything though. Zerg has 9 larvae. Protoss has only 4 warp gates. A few gateways are finishing though. Where are they? Over here. Yeah, so there will be a little more production. No tech though, because the cyber core is down. There is no backup cyber core on the way. Both sides also have large banks. See if we can find this hero. Not one of the Tempests. One of the Colossi has 23 kills, which is not enough for hero status. You need like more like 75. Observer. Observer goes down. Very important. Guys, put your observers on a separate control group. Watch vibes, bronze to GM. Put your army on one control group, put your observers on a separate one. Have the observers follow a slow unit in your army, like one of the Colossi in the back. Same with this Oracle. Don't be F2ing that Oracle along with your army. Actually, he's doing it right here. The Oracle is following the Colossus. Zerg, I think, is in pretty desperate situation here. Needs to be more aggressive and decisive with this army. Like, you can sacrifice a couple Hydras to clear this out quickly so that you can keep moving. He needs to find these bases. He needs to sweep the whole map. Because the Protoss has hidden mining and production, whereas the Zerg only has hidden structures. And the Zerg can only win in an army versus army battle if he takes a really good fight. If it's a clumsy, awkward fight, it'll probably favor the Protoss. But a bunch of workers are going to go down. Zerg is very slow moving forward here. Playing Zerg like a Terran is pushing his siege line forward very carefully. 33 kills on one Colossus. This might be the guy. Terran does get one big warp cycle of Stalkers, which are not super efficient units, but he's got Blink. They can definitely help with Lurkers if they're combined with the rest of the army. There's also this one High Templar here. Storm is researched. It's a full energy High Templar that got down to 6 shields and 4 HP because it was moved into spine crawlers. But all's well that ends well, I guess, and if this guy manages to land one fat storm, then right, anyway, here he goes. This is not hard to tell who has the advantage here. Oh, Protoss is gonna go for this one first. No, he's not. He's just gonna approach this from the high ground. Zerg will see it coming when this Overseer goes down. But, okay, so he's not going to approach it from the high ground. Neither player has very decisive movement here. Zerg pulls away, which means Protoss gets to keep this base, but he didn't save any of his workers. Or rather, he did, but they're not here. Wait, where are they? He's got 9 workers. Okay, so, oh god, well, yeah, I guess if you kill the Hydras, then you just win, because, yeah, Lurkers don't shoot up and the Zerg has no production. But after the Revelation wears off, you can't. The Lurkers pick up, I guess. Yeah, okay. Well, there are now 4 Hydras, which is not enough to kill all those Tempests. Yeah, 4 Hydras does not beat 5 Tempests. And I think 3 workers in a spawning pool is not going to produce tech fast enough. A couple workers just chilling here. Now Protoss has a massive bank and could be working in 6 sentries. Yeah, wants to, you want to, okay, Robo's fine. You want to start a Cyber Core, even more gateways, maybe try and get a Templar Archives, or just a bunch of Stalkers. He does have charge. I mean, Zealots are bad against Lurkers, but if you catch them in the field, going up to 3 bases is fine also, although it's not going to work here. Protoss has only those Tempests. And there are no cannons here. There is in fact no source of detection, period. So this Robo really needs to finish quickly. Cannons are going up, which is a good choice. Hydra's going to get the work kills. But they should be looking for the Robo, right? They should be looking for the sources of detection. Okay, yeah, the Tempests are going to recall here. So the Hydras will go down. If you queue up an Observer here, okay, he does queue up an Observer, so that's checkmate. The cannons will go down, but the Observer will finish off the Lurkers. Lurkers, I guess we're going to try and kill the Nexus first. I don't think, yeah, they can't do it in time. Maybe they can, but it doesn't matter because Zerg's you're not going to be able to get enough tech to kill all this. Unless the Protoss like really doesn't manage to find it. Protoss bank is gone. Zerg's problem is that he needs more larva production as well as tech. And he doesn't need to mine with these workers. Yeah, your best chance has got to be making all of these workers into hatcheries. Queens aren't going to do it. Protoss is not being decisive without looking for the Zerg's base. I guess you do have to go for it. No, you don't need Hydras. You could get a Spire. You can use Zerglings to deal with the Stalkers, Corruptors to deal with the Tempests. I think 5 Corruptors might be enough. But it's a lot of Zerglings. It will be good for them if they can do any damage here, but I think they're going to have to run. Or just die. Alright, so actually, yeah, another wave of Zerglings is kind of good. But I don't think the Zerg can sustain that. It's good if it just keeps the Protoss home. All the Stalkers going down would, I guess, enable a tech switch, but there is no tech switch coming. Bro, you don't need more minerals. You have 6,000 in the bank, you need more larva. That is... Yeah, the Corruptors need to stay at home now.